Welcome. My name is Zach. This is Real Estate Revealed, and check this out. I have my wife with me today, Miss Ashley Colstead Dunivan. We've been married got married this year. Yes, is in February. We've been through quite a bit this year, and the reason why my wife Ashley, I won't keep doing that, I promise. Ashley's on the show today is because we actually are relatively new investors, and we want to talk about and share our experience with you guys and what that looks like. And if somebody's out there who may be interested in jumping in to investing or what that looks like, we want to give a first-hand experience on how we got started. So, where do we start, Ashley? I guess we kind of have to go back a little bit to how we met, because we've not been really and truly together that long. We got reconnected, and by mutual friends helping her out. I'll go ahead and plug her. Miss Rose Hankins, we mutual friends of ours, owner of Twisted Dough, has been on, what's the show she's on right now?
Food Stars.
Food Stars? Yeah. That one, with Gordon Ramsay, and who's the co-star? Boy, she's going to be upset that we don't remember that. But anyway, and I'm going to go ahead and say this too. I'd love to have Rose on the show because she's just got started with a brand new investment that I've helped her with as well, along with her business that she's actively working in. But we'll come back. We'll worry about that later. All right. So just to come back to where we met each other, we were both in different places. I was recently single, and Ashley here, she was kind of seeing a guy a little bit, but not so much. I had to work for it a little bit, I will say that. So we'll go ahead and jump forward. Ashley asked me to move in with her, and we started getting serious pretty quick. It's just one of those things where when you know, you know. So we start talking about plans as far as what our future looks like together. And one of the things I asked Ashley was, hey, how do you feel about rental properties? How do you feel about investments? And one of the decisions, the reason why I moved in with her was because, we had these talks before. I said, look, I have this house. My brother at the time was rooming with me, and he had recently bought his own place. I helped him with that. And I'm sitting there going, well, why don't we rent my place out? Or better yet, what's that look like if we Airbnb it? Because it's completely furnished. And so tell us about that conversation a little bit from your perspective. I don't need to do all the talking.
What part of it?
Well, I mean, when I decided to finally move in, and then when we decided to take the plunge of saying, okay, let's take my house and turn it into an Airbnb. This is how we got started,
Well, there was one more property that we had before that conversation happened.
That's right. Before that, we decided a property in Paragould, Arkansas. We decided to buy.
And we stumbled into that property. God, it was a mess.
I don't remember how that
And you were like, I've got this property. We got to go check it out. And I was like, where are we going? And you were like, Paragould. I was like, oh boy. Here we go. So
Google Paragould.
Right.
But it's not that bad.
But also, living in Brooklyn, it wasn't that far, so it made a little sense. Let's try our first hands at rental property.
For our viewers out there, all 12 of them that I have right now, we're talking about Brooklyn, Arkansas to Paragould, maybe 20 miles. We're talking a 15-20 minute drive, so not just terribly far.
But we knew that there were good pockets of Paragould. It was comparable almost to Jonesboro as far as dollar per square foot. So it seemed like a great starting point for us. So
what year was this? I don't remember. Was it
2022?
2022.
Because we had just created our LLC, and we put this offer in, right?
Right after COVID, right when rates had already, they've already hit their bottom, and they were already on the rise back up. Yeah. And I think I do remember now, we were talking about this. I'm going, if we need, being in real estate, I told her, I said, we got to move on this stuff now because the trend is that they're going to head up. And sure enough, they did. Mm-hmm. So we were lucky enough that we had, say lucky enough, we have, great jobs. I call her my sugar mama because she's got a more stable career choice to where she has a steady income coming in, whereas mine is strictly I'm unemployed every day, so I have to earn my keep. I have to work every day in order to make my paycheck. So, with all that being said, not having a whole lot of debt between us, we were able to work with a lender who had what's called a portfolio loan, to where they have an investor that basically, I don't know how much money they have, but they say, hey, here's the parameters, here's what we're willing to lend out during this time, because rates were so low that I guess they wanted to capitalize on their money. So we found that loan product, and I think actually the terms were is that we could buy up to $1 million.
I felt like that was like unspoken territory as far as like the banking world is concerned. Like, we didn't really vocalize what our cap was, but we knew based on other conversations that we had had previously with other people.
Well, I had conversations with Kevin, and he said, look, he doesn't have to go to the board until we have a portfolio. We hit over $1 million in assets combined. So whoever these investors were with the bank, they said, look, we trust you. Lend it out there. If one particular entity or group gets above $1 million, or if the purchase is above $1 million, we need to talk about it. Other than that, he pretty much had, to the best of my knowledge, free range on. I'm sure we weren't the only ones, but that's how we ended up getting started. And we bought how many properties
that year?
In 20. So I don't recommend doing this. Looking back, I'm glad we did, but moving forward, looking ahead, I don't know if I would buy as many properties as we did that quickly.
That was like fresh in our relationship too. Like, we were like both feet in all at one time, just running and gunning on properties. So
we bought, I don't know, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? The Delta has 2 buildings there. That's 5
in that 1 year.
And I think that's right. Paragould, Holman, Fisher,
buy your house,
right, and then Delaplane. So that's 5. That's 5 properties. Yeah. Am I missing one? No,
because we Airbnb yours.
Right. Which, here's the thing. Yeah, we can call it 6 properties, because my house. Yes, I had already purchased it, but we had to do some work on that. No, and the vault 7.
That was later on, though. That was the following year, I believe. I think that was 2023.
Maybe so. Point is that it was the same loan type. We did it on the same portfolio loan. So, long story short, we definitely we're talking like September got on contract on one, November got on contract on another, and then just rolled out with it. I mean, we had 6 properties under contract within a 6-month period. And let me tell you something. And during that time, when you're trying to, first of all, buy properties, the only properties that we had ever purchased were our personal homes at that time. Yeah. And I'm in real estate, so luckily I have helped with transactions. However,
it's completely different.
It's completely different when you're buying the property. Right. And Ashley, you'd only bought your house, and that's a unique. Every purchase is a unique experience.
Right.
So, I know how I felt going through this. We talked a whole lot throughout the process. So when you first, let's jump all the way back, when I first said, hey, there's this property in Paragould, we need to go see it. What was, you said, oh God, it's in Paragould. Let's pick it up from there.
Well, I was just curious what the situation was. And of course, when we drove out there, I was like, ooh, it's kind of in a rough area. I didn't know really what to think. It almost looked like we pulled up, and I was like, is this a mobile home? And you're like, no, it's not a mobile home. I mean, it was like lifted up. And
it's on a crawl space, guys. It wasn't on a slab, so it's not a mobile. Yeah,
I know it wasn't a mobile home, but it looked like a manufactured home almost. Just the way it was laid out, had the extended carport situation. Not a huge home by any means, but I think it was the perfect little first investment property for us to get my toe wet in the real estate business.
So this property, it was a home run because it's just over 800 square feet. It looked like you took a step back in time and walked us into the 70s. Everything inside the house was pristine, but it was like
paneling.
Yeah, it was paneling. I mean, it's like you stepped into the 70s. Carpet. It just hadn't been updated.
Yeah.
no central heat and air, but it didn't take, one wall unit would heat and cool the whole place. This thing had a wood burning, it still does, has a wood burning stove in this. And the wood burning stove, I did a research, it's big enough for like a 1,500 square foot house. And it's in this little 800 square foot, and it just, it'll smoke you out in a hurry. But what was also really cool about the property, I think how much we buy it for? Was it $59,000, like $60,000 is what we bought the house for.
Yeah.
And it had this shed on it that we moved to our house there in Brooklyn. And this shed it's like I don't know, it's like maybe a 10 by 16 foot shed, where the little man who owned it, he insulated the inside of it. Like, if you were to go buy this,
it had pegboard on it.
Yeah, if you were going to go buy this from like Eagle Barn or something like that, it'd been easily $3,500 at the time for this thing, and we paid somebody $300 to go move it to our house. And so we bought the home and got a storage shed out of it, basically for $300, and had it moved to our home. It was that's a great little property. Yeah. We're not cash flowing a whole lot on that one, but I think we're cash flowing maybe $300 a month.
A little more than that, but yeah.
With interest rates and things like that, as the longer we keep it, we know that rent progressively goes up, and I think we've owned it for 2 years now.
We owner financed
that one is now owner financed. We got a decent down payment on it, but the terms are is that we'll reevaluate that in 2 years' time. So it's basically a rental where we got a pretty substantial non-refundable deposit. So if you're interested in that, that's a whole other podcast on how to owner finance something the right way, in my opinion. So out of our properties, which one's your favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah.
Now or?
Yeah, now. Sure. Hardy.
Yeah.
So my broker, Carol Caldwell, I'm going to go ahead and shout out to him, and I'd love to have him on the show as well, but he tells me, I believe he still says it to this day. I'm still an agent with Coldwell Banker Village Communities in Jonesboro, Arkansas, even though we're here in North Little Rock. He told me, he said, "You got the deal of a lifetime. We found a property on the Spring River, on a section of that river where the Myatt Creek runs into the spring, and there's no public access above us or below us for a good stretch, which means there's nobody on the river. It's a quiet piece of property, and we bought this little cabin and completely renovated it. And it's we Airbnb that, but it was supposed to be an investment property. It's more of it's an investment for ourselves to go and recharge is what it is. We do Airbnb it from time to time, but that's definitely our favorite property. It's my favorite too. Yeah, not for cash flow, but as far as being able to recharge, yeah. And unfortunately, we used to be only an hour away from it. Now, since we've moved, we're about 3 hours. But you think, 3 hours, that's not that bad. We have a 2-month-old, so it's a little bit difficult getting over there right now. But as she gets older, I'm sure we'll be over there quite a bit. So, and it has faster internet than any of our properties that we have right now. So I'm excited to get over there because I can work from there and no issues. So tell me a little bit about your experience. What's the worst, what's the best thing that has come about our properties, and what's been the most challenging thing about getting our properties?
Well, I mean, we can even start with Hardy, just because we're on the subject of Hardy for an example. I think the most challenging part of that was like finding the right investor, right? We kind of had a couple hurdles in the initial get-go of that property as far as circumstances because of where it's at, the property lines, because it's 5 lots instead of 1 lot, like all of the things that we had to jump hurdle-wise to get that. So
let me take a step back real quick. The reason, what she's talking about right now is that the original bank where we had the $1 million portfolio, that money had run out. We capped out, put it that way. So we capped out on that one. And at this time, interest rates were 9%.
Yeah, they were brutal.
They were tough. that they were tough. So we had to really shop around for different lenders to figure out how we're going to buy this property.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead.
So shopping investors was fun, or funding, I should say, especially at a 9% interest rate. But getting to do the construction loan to me was really rewarding. I think for the fact that we got to make that property our own. So we saw this like little shell of a cabin, and I don't know about you, but when we got out there, like I remember this like euphoric experience of like,
butterflies.
This is a place that we've got to be a part of. Like, I don't know how, why, but
let me tell you something. The drive out there, she's like, "Where in the hell are you taking me?" It's out there.
There was a big detour because you didn't technically have the address whenever we first went out there.
We had to hunt for it.
We had to look.
It's out there.
Yeah. So when we finally made it out there, like, oh, thank God, this isn't wherever the heck we've been for the last 20 minutes. It's perfect. It was gorgeous. Like, everything about it was euphoric for me. So seeing that property, seeing the potential, overcoming those hurdles as far as the, investment initially, going through the construction loan process and everything that came with that was really rewarding.
Did we have, I don't remember on that one, did we have to come out of pocket anything on that? Or was it strictly the whole thing on a construction loan? I believe everything was on. I think we may have had to pay closing cost of like maybe $1,500
Yeah,
or
because
something
it
like
breaks
that.
for substantially more than what we paid for it.
Right.
And after repair value was even higher, even after we did all the construction work. So I don't think for the bank that it was anything that we had to come out of pocket for.
So that's what Carol Caldwell, one of my brokers at Coldwell Banker VC, what he says, is the deal of a lifetime because I don't mind, it's public record if you want to go find it and look it up, but we bought the property for $60,000. And I'll go ahead and share this with you as well. The way that it's structured is that we bought 3 lots on the river and then 2 lots that sat back off the river. Those 3 lots appraised for more combined than the 2 back lots did, and the back lot is what had the improvements. Mm-hmm. Just because those 3 lots, they're 6,000 square feet, they're 60 by 100 lots, and because they're on the river like that, they appraise for. I think they just those 3 lots by themselves appraised for $156,000, and we bought the entire property for $60,000.
Yep.
So we did that, and then on the backside, we went ahead and obviously renovated the cabin. And then during that time, shortly after we renovated, we bought 2 additional lots up on 2 additional lots on the river for great prices as well. Yeah. But we would have never been able to do that if we hadn't come across this property. And quite honestly, how we came across this property is by relationships. Mm-hmm. Just people that talking to people. That's the best thing. If you want to invest, talk to everybody.
Most of our best deals have come from just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Pocket deals that we were able to come through that before they even get listed. I think that's what's so crucial about being with a real estate agent is, for the simple fact that we probably wouldn't have gotten Hardy had you not known.
Well, if you want, actually, I guess I kind of agree with you. I just so happen to be the real estate agent, but Delaplane, those duck cabins that we bought, I had those listed, and I told the gentleman then, I structured that deal to where I said, look, I can list it. Here's what I can sell it for. If it doesn't sell, then I'll buy it. And here's what happened. Quite honestly, this was back in May. Well, duck season for the area, starts picking. People really start thinking about it in August, September is when they really, and then October, November, they got the bug hard. The season starts in November. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was about August when I started picking up interest, and we got a real low ball offer. And my seller, he was like, man, I don't know. We're getting close to season. We kind of may want to keep it to rent these things out. I said, I'll buy it. I said, I'll give you this much for it, and we'll roll with it. He said, you can close it before duck season? I said, yep, and done. And as soon as no sooner than we got under contract, maybe 2 or 3 days later, I started getting all kinds of calls after phone calls after phone calls. I don't know if it was just because, I changed the listing from active to pending, that people were like, oh gosh, I missed the boat, or if that's just, I don't know. But either way, that was a great deal. We did sell that one last year.
To the guy that lowballed it right before you bought it.
And that's exactly to the guy that lowballed it.
Yeah.
And
he knew what he missed out on.
And we came out okay on it. We kept it for a year. I'm looking back going, man, that was a nice property. I kind of kicked myself a little bit from saying, why didn't we keep it? But being that it's a little Airbnb out there, and it was just, it was a lot to keep up with. If we had, we don't have a property manager just yet. Once we get a certain number, our goal is to get a property manager, but it's just it's so hard to find somebody that can be a property manager for our properties, because it's not just like we have short-term rentals, we have long-term rentals. I mean,
very unique.
They're all we have an owner finance that we've got going on, and then heck, Fisher Street there in Jonesboro. Here's a unique property. Dr. Charles Coleman, client of mine, said, "Hey man, I want to list my property." I said, "Great, where is it?" And he told me where it is. He said, "I want this much for it." I remember this. I looked at Dr. Coleman. I said,
"I'll buy it."
Well, I said, "Look, I want to buy this, and I'll give you 100% what you're asking for, but I can't, in good conscience, buy it for what you're asking for, because I feel like I'm stealing it from you."
Right.
So we added. We still got it for a great deal, but we added another $5,000 to $10,000. Yeah, we added another $10,000 to it.
I remember I was at work and you called me and you said, "Hey, we're under contract on a property." And I said, "Excuse me, what?" And you said, "Yeah, we're under contract on this property in Jonesboro." And I said, "Where is it?" And like, "What is it?" And you're like, "Don't worry. It's a great price, great property. Like, just bear with me, but I'm just letting you know this is what it is and this is how much it is." And I was like, "Okay, here we go." So
what's really cool about this property, if you know anything about the zoning, first of all, it's zoned R3, which in Jonesboro means that you could put up to a fourplex on it. There's a little single-family home on it and a community garden. I'm thinking, well, heck, we can at least put it, due to city zonings and codes and stuff like that, we can at least put a duplex on it with not as much hassle. We still don't have a duplex on it, but that little home, it's, what is it, like 600, maybe 800, no, it's like 800 something square feet, a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath. But the really cool thing about this home, I put a little bit of work into it. We have that one rented with Section 8. So like I said, we've got experience in a lot of stuff here. But the really cool feature is that it has this community garden on it. And we don't make a dime on it. We lease it to the church across the street. It's called Communities in Action. And basically what we do is that we lease it to them for $5,000 a year. Well, this they're a non-charitable organization. Like, we don't have $5,000. I'm going to look. We don't want you to pay $5,000. So we're going to sign a lease with you saying that you can use it for, you're going to lease it from us, and then you're going to write us a credit, a letter, a receipt saying that we are donating that to you. So that way it's a wash and it's a paper trail. And the reason why that $5,000 is important is because that is the maximum dollar amount that you can write off on something as far as a donation wise, that you don't have to have a receipt for or to prove, to where tax wise you have to show actual transactions and things like that. So I probably just butchered that explanation, but long story short is that we get a $5,000 tax credit every year due to that community garden. So I think we've talked about almost every property.
No.
We've got Holman there in Brooklyn. I don't know. I mean, what was another one that we have?
Mine, no.
Well, that's right. Your house. So we're actually sitting in North Little Rock. We just purchased that. We've been here since May. We purchased the house that we're in right now, and Ashley's house. It's a great house. You've owned it for how long?
It's 2017.
So 2017. So a great interest rate on that. So we're cash flowing pretty good on it too. And it was a brand new construction home when she purchased it.
Yeah, I knew from the get-go whenever that house was built that I wanted to have it. I assumed that was going to be my first in as a rental property, right? Like,
Okay.
I assumed that was going to be my first starter home, and then whatever I moved into would be like my actual like next home, and I would rent and keep that. Like, in my mind, that was the easiest way to rent a home, was to own it in that way and then move to the next one, whether you did some sort of bridge loan or whatever. But
how do you know what a bridge loan is?
because of you. Because I listen. And HELOCs and all kinds of fun stuff.
So she doesn't know this yet, but she's a real estate agent in training. So we're working on that slowly. But
we'll see.
Anyway. So yeah, and then we have another house there in Brooklyn that we purchased, and that was probably, that's a great house too. So the point is, all these deals they're all different, they're all unique, and every one of them have appreciated in value since we purchased them. I don't think any of them were a bad investment, were a bad deal. They were either value add, or if it was turnkey, well, I don't think there's a single one that was turnkey with it, other than the Del Plain cabins, but we still added value to those too.
A little, not near as much. More like cameras and security.
No, we took all of them down.
Well, I'm talking about when we did buy
sure.
them initially, like in order to Airbnb them. They were fully staged, so we left everything how it was, thankfully. So I feel like that was a great investment into that, because that would have cost so much more money for us to stage those. But we just inherited all of the material that was there. So just security-wise, and then like a couple little things like couch covers.
Creature comforts is what we add to that.
Exactly.
You know, we modernize it. We put internet on there.
Yeah.
We wired it for internet.
Yeah.
So we did a few things, a few more, a Keurig here and there, and
that's
a
exactly
couple new
right.
rugs, new sheets, new mattresses and stuff like that. So I guess we did a little bit to them.
Yeah.
A new fire pit. It desperately needed a fire pit outside. They just had like a little, I don't know, basically threw their stuff on the ground and burned it. As for a burn for the campfire or whatever. It was horrendous. It was not good.
So speaking about unique properties, why don't you tell them about the vault and how that?
Oh yeah. So the vault is there is an old bank, and it was like a 1920s bank in Bono, Arkansas, that had been used originally as a bank and still had the original vault in it. Still does. And then there was an insurance agency in there one time, and then there's a real estate agency in there and another time, and that's who we bought it from. It had been vacant. I mean, they owned it. They were basically using the original not deposit box from the bank to collect rent from their rental properties, and that's all they used it for.
That's what we should have used it for.
Well,
Either way.
Anyway, it was a very unique location, and we decided to take that and renovate it and update it. We added a kitchenette, we added a bathroom, we added gas to that property. We did a whole lot to that place. Probably the biggest, other than Hardy, that was the biggest. Well, Hardy, we had a construction loan. The vault, we had to come out of pocket every bit of that to make that work. That
was very interesting. And almost challenging, but in the best ways. Like, I got to use my resources through my, builder contractors and your connections that you had. I mean,
the vault, we turned it into a studio Airbnb, and today it's no longer that Airbnb. Not for the sake of that we couldn't Airbnb it still, because heck, we still had somebody reach out to us like last week, said. Somebody would stay there, said, "Hey, we want to stay in your place," and it's not Airbnb anymore. It's just hard to manage when you're not close by. Yeah. So we turned it into. We took all of our furniture out. The house that we purchased is probably twice the size as the one that we were in, so we needed the furniture from there and our house to fill this house that we're in. Yeah. Somebody wanted a big house.
Oh wow!
I don't know what a big house is, but
it's relative, right?
That's right. We're in a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house, 2.5 bath. But anyway, the vault was awesome, And anyway, right now we have a commercial tenant in there, and she is doing art classes like after school for kids. It's a really cool concept, and I believe things are going really well for her, and I hope they continue to go well. We did have to put a new roof on there as well. We put a new roof.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Boy, insurance. Get good insurance. As long as you have good insurance.
And we had it inspected before we bought it, but because it was a commercial, I don't think we had the right information, so to speak, because we walked in and it was leaking.
I'll say this. We didn't have that one inspected. We personally inspected it, and
You.
I personally inspected it, and there were repairs done up top where there was repairs completed. They weren't done very well. Once they started leaking, I tried to do it, and I'm not a roofer by any means. And it starts, long story short, our insurance took care of it. When you're an investor, I'm telling you, insurance is a make it or break it situation. Get you a good agent, interview 100 of them. I'm telling you, and then every year, sorry, Matt, I'm just telling you right now, reevaluate every year because prices change, systems change, policies change. Now, there is something to be said by staying with and being loyal to people because they can help you out. Obviously, as long as the numbers work, everybody is here to make money as long as it's not breaking you.
It's got to make sense.
It's got to make sense. That's right. It's got to make sense. Now, we are verbally under contract on a new property. Well, I say verbally because it's not on paper. We haven't signed anything yet, but verbally it's there. We just have to, basically John Hancock, cross the T's, dot the I's, and then we'll be under contract on that one. And this one will be a construction loan. We can talk about that next time because I don't want to.
I was going to say, don't spoil jinx.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm not very big on, superstitions, but at the same time, I definitely want to make sure it's at least under contract before we start really getting into the brass tacks on that one. Yeah. So what do you think? Would you do it again? You want to keep doing it?
Yeah, I do.
You would do it again? What's the most frustrating, what's been the most challenging part out of the buying and owning these properties?
Oh, God, the people aspect. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, whenever we have these Airbnbs and we have people rent them and the crazy guests that we can get from time to time, tell me that's not the most challenging
What do you mean? What do you mean crazy?
Oh, God.
What do you mean? We don't know. Tell me.
Oh, my gosh. Let's think. I mean, from not reading instructions and stuff that's so minuscule to, blowing up your phone. Or how about the guy that locked himself in there and said that at the cabins, and he said that there was mold everywhere and it smelled like cat. Like he literally had like 3 cats in there at one point in time and tried to lock himself in there and like wouldn't leave. And that was insane. Insane. We're like at dinner and Zach's like, I'm going to go kick this guy out of our property right now. And I was like, that's not the best idea. Well, nor do I think Airbnb would condone that at all.
I disagree. I disagree with that because, quite frankly, it's our property, and if he's destroying it.
But there are steps that you have to go through with Airbnb, and there are host rules and policies.
You're right.
For a reason, and they will kick you out, kick you off Airbnb.
We'll agree to disagree on that one, but is that a reason to not have Airbnbs?
No, I mean it's 1 in 10 because it seems like we had
10%. I don't think it's that high.
I said 1 in 10 people. I didn't.
Yeah, it's 10%.
Well,
I don't think it's that high.
Agree to disagree on that.
Maybe 1 in 25.
I don't know. There's some crazy folks out there.
I know, but we have other Airbnbs too. So if you put them all
I'm talking about all cumulative.
You got to think how many people we had during duck season out there too. We had a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's mostly dudes, and they don't really care, and they just want to sleep.
This guy was a dude.
Yeah, but that was off season. That was kind of a really random situation. Like we should have vetted him more. We learned some lessons on that, needless to say. So as far as
if you're considering Airbnbs, give us a call. We'll talk to you. We'll talk through it with you.
And I've talked to a lot of people. They've asked me, like, what's your experience been? Is it difficult? Is it worth it? What's the situation?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people reach out. But as far as like challenges, I would say that's the most challenging part. It's just strictly the people aspect. I mean, but that's with anything, right? Like your day to day, my day to day. It's just the people aspect of what we do.
So as long as you can stand people, it's not a bad investment.
Crazy people.
Well, we're all crazy in our own right.
On the spectrum to some degree. Yeah.
Just where you are on the spectrum.
On the spectrum of crazy.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. What's been the most rewarding part? The most challenging has been, people, and it's not all people, somewhere between, 1 in 10 and 1 in 25, 1 in 17 and a half, whatever half of 10 and 25 it is,
I'll answer this in like a two-part, because for me, I love the design aspect of it, right? So like for me, that's my creative side, right? We took the vault, we took an old bank building and we turned it in like the coolest little studio, in my opinion. Or we took your old house, completely gutted and renovated an entire place, turned it into a really unique situation. I enjoyed that a whole lot. Same with Hardy, right? Like we got to make that our own. That part to me is really rewarding. And then the flip side of that is also people, right?
We like the people.
I like the people.
All right.
I mean, it's
the best and the worst thing about real estate is the people, and I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, I thought it was super rewarding whenever we had great tenants, the people that we've literally supplied a roof and 4 walls for, right? People who can't buy a house and want to do a lease to own situation or need a real and it meets all of their needs or whatever the case may be. I like that aspect of it as well. I think that's been the most rewarding for me personally.
So, okay. So I guess that's about it. That's the, why do we do this though? Is it just, are we just spinning our wheels or, I mean, why are we doing what we do?
I think that's,
you can be let's be real here. I mean, we're not getting rich off of it.
No, but it's an investment, right? I mean, instead of like a 401k, like this is our retirement to a degree. That's why I initially got into it. That was my headspace for wanting rental property.
So that's another podcast, but I am going to go ahead and say this. If you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, this is not legal advice. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. However, I'm not a financial advisor either. However, through experience and with talking with these people in these fields, they have their place. However, I do feel that real estate is a better, more sound, safer investment in putting your money into something that is stock-based, whether it be an IRA or a 401k, something along those lines. So that's definitely something. A lot of people don't realize that they can actually cash out their 401k or use or borrow against it in order to buy real estate if you already have a pretty decent 401k or pretty decent built-up retirement account.
Or a whole life policy.
Well, that's an insurance policy, but or a whole life policy. Yeah. That's exactly right. So,
but no, we're not getting rich. It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn.
Well, the properties are definitely appreciating over time. And the cool thing about that is that the tenants are paying it down for us. Mm-hmm. Really, truly. We're cash flowing. We have parameters that we set, per property. And we have a goal, we are 2 years in our 5-year term. Mm-hmm. So we have 3 years left. And our
to go big.
Well, no. Well, for our first goals, right? Our first goals were to have all of our properties where we're cash flowing $5,000 a month. I think we need, what is it? We need 13. We need 13 more properties. Well, the parameters are each home, each property that we purchase needs to cash flow at least $300. $500 would be better. That's after all of our expenses in it.
Right.
So we're looking at anywhere and the cash flowing $500,000. Sorry. $5,000 a month.
I mean, 500 would be great.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. But and then have I think that's and so that depending on how many properties that is, I think if it's a minimum of $300 a month, I think it's it's 13 properties.
Hire a property manager. We always said it's $10.
And hire a property manager. Long-term rentals is what that is. So we may end up. I don't know. We'll get there.
There's no telling.
Any property managers out there that do all these things that we do, that can do this for us, reach out to me.
Right.
Definitely interested in hearing what you have or what your skill sets are, so we can help us out with that. So, well, guys, this is Real Estate Revealed. My name is Zach Dunivan. This is Ashley, my beautiful wife. I will say this: we're going to put right now we only have that one Airbnb in Hardy. We're going to put a link in there. Take a look at that. We would love your feedback. Look through the pictures. If there's something on there that you like, let us know. If there's something on there that you say, hey, this would be a great idea, let us know. We'd love to share that with you guys. We're in the process of making a video just to kind of showcase that property a little bit better. We love it, and we don't mind sharing it with people. It's a beautiful part of the river. It's very quiet. Guys, the deck on this thing is bigger than the cabin itself. The cabin's completely renovated on the inside, but the outdoor space, oh my gosh, it is absolutely ridiculous. So
I think the water has healing properties in it.
That's
what I say. It is the place to recover and rewind. Like
cold water therapy, I'm telling you, it's a natural spring, 54 to 56 degrees year round. It's cold in the summertime. I don't care. It feels great, but let me tell you something.
It's got to be at least
cold.
80 for me to get into.
At least 80. I'm saying 90. I mean, it's cold. That water's chilly.
Cold.
That water, when you get in there at 80 degrees outside and the sun's not shining, if it's overcast, it's cold.
Chilly.
I'm telling you. Well, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, and that bell if you like what you hear today. If you want to follow us as far as our journey, we will be coming back on here talking about that new property we have coming up, so stay tuned on that. And seriously, if you have any questions at all or any comments about what we've done, what mistakes we've had, or maybe some tips or tricks for us, we don't know it all.
No.
We just want to open up our experiences for everybody to see and say, hey, it can be done. And most importantly, it's about the relationships. It's about the people. Best thing and the worst thing are the people and the relationships. That's what's going to help you get started. That's what's going to help you keep going through the future if you decide you want to get into real estate, investing, or whatever. So,
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Ashley, for coming on the show.
I traveled very far.
Yeah, I know you did.
Dining room table.
All right, guys. Until next time, take care. Talk to you guys soon.